Welcome to another episode of the Ginger ROAMance. Here, you'll hear anonymous stories from travellers all over the world. Real submissions from real people. Tales of connection, romance, passion, heartbreak, friendship, and love in all its forms. Because every kind of love deserves to be told. This week's episode is called The Weak Heart, from Ireland. Well, it all started 9 months ago when I met a guy who practiced the same sport as me. At first, it was just friendship. We began training together. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. We shared so much in common, especially our love for this sport. And even though my life was busy, I chose to give him what little free time I had. He was always kind, always available, and somehow we always managed to fit our training sessions into my schedule. At the time, I had just ended a relationship with someone who hated my freedom. Someone who wanted me to change my life simply because it suited him. This man was the complete opposite. Maybe because we didn't meet on a date. We were just two people crazily obsessed with the same sport. Everything unfolded organically. The time spent together, the closeness, the easy companionship. And I thought, maybe we had a real connection. A few months after meeting, I had an accident. Coincidentally, it was while doing our favourite sport, and he was with me when it happened. What followed surprised me deeply. Not only did he support me, but his entire family did too. People who I've never met before, who barely knew me, sent me messages filled with encouragement and wishes for a speedy recovery. 3 weeks later, I was back doing what I love. Training again with him, his friends, and his family. We also went on a trip that had been planned for months, the very reason we'd been training together in the first place. Fear didn't defeat me. I felt carried by the support of his entire clan. And that support meant everything, especially as an immigrant. Living in a country that isn't mine, speaking a language that isn't my native tongue, and slowly building the kind of support systems you need to survive and thrive abroad. To feel that kind of belonging from people who were strangers just months earlier, it was powerful. As the trip came to an end, I felt increasingly loved and supported by him and his family. Maybe it was my migrant heart, but it felt real. A month later, it was my birthday. I told him I wanted to celebrate it in a big way, to give thanks for still being alive after such a turbulent year. So I decided to do something big for myself. Plan a long, challenging journey across Southeast Asia. A journey for me and for everyone who chose to accompany me in spirit. When I told him my idea, his response stayed with me. He said, "The crazier and more outlandish the idea, the more I'll always say yes. Count me in. You only live once." That blew my mind. I truly thought I'd found something I was looking for in a man. My best friend already gives me unconditional support, and that's why my standards for love are high. And in that moment, I thought, this really could be something more. A couple of months later, everything changed. Due to legal issues, I had to leave the country we were living in. It wasn't a choice. It was forced. But at the same time, It was a great opportunity to bring to life my Southeast Asia journey. I wanted to tell him first, especially since we had plans together around our sport. His reaction was calm, and strangely, it gave me peace. He said it would be another good excuse to travel somewhere new to visit me. That made me happy. Once again, I believed we were building something, that the support was mutual, unconditional. But days after that conversation, I noticed him pulling away. He became distant, too busy. Calls went unanswered for days. I tried to stay calm. I kept reaching out because I wanted him to know this trip wasn't forever. It was temporary. 4 months, nothing more. After trying a few times, he finally agreed to train together again. I told him the details of my trip. He seemed excited that I'd be coming back, that it wasn't goodbye forever. He told me I'd be fine, that I'd have an incredible trip, and that if I needed anything, he'd be there. A few days before my departure, we met at his house, and once again, I proposed a crazy idea. What if you came with me for a few days, or even a couple of weeks? He said yes, of course he would. We talked about dates, places, options. We even made a pinky promise. The day came for me to set off on my adventure. He drove me to the airport, helped me with everything, and told me we'd see each other again, either before my return or once I was back. We exchanged a few short messages after I arrived. He watched my Instagram stories, but never really wrote to me. Still, my adventure began. A month into my journey, I found something special. A Christmas present for myself. Something I'd needed ever since my accident. I messaged him, excited, wanting to share that joy. I wasn't asking for much. Just a, wow, that's amazing, you deserve it. Or, yes, buy it. He never replied. That same morning, I met a group of locals and played sport with them. I posted a photo on my Instagram, thanking one particular guy who had helped me during my stay. After that post, he never watched my stories again. I waited. I told myself he was busy. I messaged him again. Nothing. I called him on Instagram after noticing he'd seen my post. He ignored my call. Minutes later, he replied, "Sorry, I'm very busy working. I can't talk now, but I'm looking forward to your stories. I'll call you soon." He never did. Weeks later, I reached out one last time, from the most vulnerable place in me. I told him it hurt not knowing anything, that I wasn't complaining, just checking if he was okay, if we were still on the same page, if time and distance had changed the unconditional friendship I believed we had. He never answered. Today marks almost 4 months since I left, and I still haven't heard from him. But today, for me, was a day of freedom. I finally released him from my mind, from the memories clinging to something that no longer exists. I decided that December would be my month, the last month of my travel, the month I let go, because it hurts too much to realize that maybe it was all an illusion. Today, I cried. I laughed. I remembered. I screamed. And then I cried again, doing what I love most, cycling. I chose to let him go with love, the same love I had when I first met him. But my ego, curious and unprotected, checked his social media. And there it was. He was out for coffee with a new girl. It's silly. It's selfish. I've met new people too. But still, it hurt. And that hurt reminded me of something important. I am not untouchable. I am not made of stone. I am a woman who feels deeply, who loves fully, who gives herself passionately and embraces every emotion that comes with being alive. Today, I hold my heart, bruised but open, and I turn the page. I don't want to overthink the future. I don't want to imagine what will happen when I return. Will he look for me? Will I look for him? He hurt me, and that's too much for me. I can't stand people who lie or who make promises they don't keep. I've learned to embrace my broken heart, feel it, suffer it, and heal it. And that is where this chapter ends. Thanks for listening. Make sure you're following along to keep up to date with weekly stories that will inspire, entertain, and maybe even make you fall in love with the idea of love itself. Got your own romance story and want to be a part of the Ginger Romance community? Check the notes for details on how to submit your own.